Our guest is Thomas Kaufman. He's an Emmy Award-winning cinematographer and now author of Drink the Tea, winner of the Best First Private Eye Novel competition. He joins us in studio. You can join the conversation at 800-433-8850. At our website, kojoshow.org. You can send us a tweet at Kojo Show or email us to kojo@wamu.org. How did your filmmaker's eye influence the way you wrote this novel, Thomas?
Well, when I was writing Drink the Tea, and I would be sitting in some coffee shop somewhere. First, I have to tell you that I cannot write at home. It's too difficult and it's too distracting.
Yep.
So I have to be someplace else. Almost any place else will work. So an airline, airport lounge, a hotel room. Once I took my son to a birthday party at Chuck E. Cheese. I knocked out a chapter there. That was fine. Just working at home is just a little bit too difficult for me. So when I'm sitting down to write a scene, I like scenes, the kind of book I like to read, the conflict is realized in action, and you see the characters act out what it is that's bothering them. There's not a lot of internal conflict, or there is some internal conflict, but a lot of the action has the conflict contained in it. So when I'm writing the scene, I'm trying to see it and write it at the same time. I'm trying to see how the people are moving through space, what kind of body language they have, and the kinds of things that they might say, the kind of things that they might not say. Recently, my wife took me to a gallery, and we were looking at some of the Impressionist work. And the Impressionists were very interested in body language and gesture. And I think as a writer, that has a big influence on me. Also, when I see, the way people move, the kind of positions that they take, it sort of telegraphs how they're feeling. And so as a cinematographer, I see so much of this unfold through the viewfinder of a camera that it felt quite natural as a writer to try to incorporate that into the writing of the book.
Have you thought about writing Drink the Tea as a screenplay for a movie?
No.
Why not?
Well, writing a screenplay for a movie is it's more of a long shot proposition, quite honestly.
Than getting a book published?
Getting a book published. I think you're better off trying to get a novel published than trying to get a screenplay made into a movie. Now, it's possible you could sell a screenplay and it would never be made into a film. That's happened to a number of people also. But it just seems that there are many more novels published each year than there are feature films made.
Selling a screenplay and not getting it made into a movie seems like it doesn't happen to a few people. It's happened to a whole lot of people. I read a comment by Madonna yesterday saying it's a wonder that movies ever get made because in the process of making a movie, you get more obstacles than anything else.
Yes, that's true. That's true. And, working in my business, I remember once when I was shooting with the tape camera, I took something was broken. I took it into a guy to take a look at it. It's the type of camera where you drop a cassette in, the cassette opens, these little arms reach the tape, they wind it around this drum that's spinning very quickly. And the engineer looked at me and says, it's amazing that it works at all. And I think that's true of motion pictures too. There's so many obstacles. And then these films come out. A lot of writers say they don't even recognize the film, the script that they sold. It seems totally different location, different characters, different dialogue. So I don't see myself doing an adaptation of Drink the Tea anytime soon, unless when I get home I find a message waiting on my answering machine.
But if one goes to your website, and I think we've provided a link to your website, they can see a little dramatization of Drink the Tea.
Oh, sure. Well, there's a video trailer for Drink the Tea on the website, and I thought I really had to do that. Here I am working in the business. And book trailers are very common now. And I thought if I didn't do it, all my friends would say, "Hey, Kaufman, what's with you?"
Thank you. You're a cinematographer after all. Here is Marshall in Fairfax, Virginia. Marshall, you're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Hello, Kojo. Thank you very much. I have a question for your guest. I started writing a book. I'm not a writer, and this is just a huge undertaking for me. And I found that just getting started was really the hard part, and as I kind of dive into it, it's really just becoming it's getting easier and easier as I go. I love it, and the more involved I get in the story, the more excited I get about it, and the more I tend to write. I'm going to finish it. My question is really, where do I go from there? I mean, this is all really new to me. I think it's great. I mean, maybe I'm really just writing it for the sake of doing it, just to say that I've done something like that. I've created something, and when I'm gone, it'll be there. But it would be nice to have an option to give people the chance to see it and tell me what they think. And what do you recommend for something like that? So for someone who really has no connections or no idea, it's a shot in the dark kind of thing for me.
Marshall, how well do you handle rejection?
Rejection's fine. It's like I said, it's really just a matter of taking that shot, and if I can get my foot in the door somewhere, even if it's just a matter of just a public forum. I don't know. Is there even anything like that? There's got to be, but I don't even know where to look.
Here's Thomas Kaufman.
Posting it on the web.
Fear not. Be optimistic. Here's Thomas Kaufman.
Well, Marshall, I guess if one of the things you're interested in is simply having the work where people can see it, you have a lot of options now thanks to the internet. You can self-publish electronically. People can download the book. You could, if you wanted to have an Amazon account, you could have it available as a Kindle book very inexpensively for people. So there would be that option. If you're interested in getting it published as a board and paper book that someone would go into a store or buy online, then I think what you ought to do is look at first of all, I would say is finish your book, and then look at kinds of books that you like that your book may be similar to, and see who's publishing those books. Try to find out. Yes.
Let me ask you this. You brought up another question. Now, if I were to publish online, first of all, where would I go for that? And would that somehow inhibit me from doing it the second way that you talked about? Is that going to cause a problem for me in the future if I've taken the easy road, as you put it?
That's a really good question. The first one I think you could find out pretty easily on your own. There are a lot of sites where you can self-publish. But as to whether you could self-publish this book in some form and then have it considered to be published by a typical book publisher like a Macmillan or something like that, the answer would be no. Book publishers generally do not want books that have been self-published in some form. Now, there are exceptions to that. There are people who have self-published books that have gone on to become bestsellers. But generally speaking, the answer would be no.
And Marshall,
well, thank you.
Good luck to you. Here is Fran, who is on the road somewhere in Maryland. Fran, you're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Hi, Kojo. Thanks for taking my call.
You're welcome.
I'd like to ask you about the methods of writing. You know, we're taught in school this very stringent way of writing, which is, you have to do the outline first and the title and all that kind of thing. And that really screwed up not only myself but my friend. We had a really hard time doing that kind of stringent writing that they teach you in public school. And we passed by the skin of our teeth, but we found that screwed up our way of thinking because, we didn't think like that. We're kind of like you, we write our thoughts down and we piece it together, and a lot of even famous writers have done that. Do you see any way that did you have those kind of problems when you were growing up, when you were trying to write, or do you think that the public school system could change that and be more flexible?
Well, I think the public school system is trying to apply a standard that's a basis, but it shouldn't be the end result of what you want to do. And I also think that when we talk about writing in this way, we talk about a writer's voice. Even though it's a voice that you may not hear audibly, it's a voice that you create with the words on the page. So that whatever voice that you want, that should be true to yourself. It shouldn't be through some sort of standard that we learned in school. For instance, in school they told us we should never begin a sentence with the word and, we should never begin a sentence with the word but. Still, in conversation, we hear those words all the time. So how could you possibly write dialogue without breaking those rules?